Right, let's be honest about something. In every classroom around the world, whether it's in the US, the UK, Australia, there's always that one Indian student who's the top of the class, never misses a beat, and aces everything. Quiet, humble, and somehow knows exactly what to study and how. And it's not just in school. Look around. Sundar Pichai at Google, Satya Nadella at Microsoft, Parag Agrawal at Twitter, Lakshman Narasimhan at Starbucks, boycott Starbucks by the way because free Palestine, Arvind Krishna at IBM, Neil Mohan at YouTube, all running billion-dollar tech companies and all Indian. So you have to ask, is there something in the water? Is it just our curry? Is it just pressure from our parents? No, it's actually something deeper. And as an Indian myself, someone who finished a master's degree in mechanical engineering with almost all straight A+, I can tell you, there is a system that we've been using our whole lives. A quiet studying culture that we just accept as normal. But when you really look at it, it's nothing short of a superpower. And today I want to break that down. As someone who grew up inside this system, I'm going to show you the exact reason why Indian students tend to dominate in academics and how you can actually take the same principles and completely change how you study. The first thing that you have to understand is this. In Indian households, studying isn't a task, it's a ritual. It's almost sacred. See, India is actually predominantly Hindu and Muslim, and in both of these religions, seeking knowledge is considered as a lifelong responsibility. Whether you're reading the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita, the message is very clear. Learning isn't just for personal success, it's actually a form of worship. It's how you grow as a person, as an individual. It's how you serve society. From the time when we were children, we're told that education is not just about getting a job, it's about becoming someone useful to your family, your community, and to society. And that's how you actually gain closeness to God. And so we're raised in homes where the dining table becomes a study desk, where guests are told, sorry, my son has an exam tomorrow, and where silence in the house is actually enforced, not because someone is sleeping, but rather because someone is revising and studying. It's not about the hours, it's about the attitude. Studying is treated with the same level of seriousness that some families treat culture. And when you approach learning with that level of seriousness, it really changes your relationship with it. It's not just, I have to do this, it becomes, I must do this well. And there's a word for this mindset in Hindi. It's called Shraddha. It means sincere and focused devotion. And every high-performing Indian students that you've ever met, they've been raised with that energy. Now, Western study culture often emphasizes exploration. Try this, try that, use colors, make pretty notes, watch a YouTube summary, and move on. But in India, we have a very different philosophy. We repeat the same thing again and again until it's not just understood, it's owned. There's a saying that goes, repetition se hi to yaad hota hai. It means you remember it by only doing it again and again and again. And it sounds very basic and old school, but it actually works. Indian students are drilled with textbooks, and not only once, but 5 or 6 times. We don't move on after understanding, we move on after internalizing. It's not glamorous at all. There's no aesthetic desk setup or Pomodoro timer, it's just raw repetition. And that's how an Indian student sees a test question and thinks, oh yeah, I've seen this exact same thing before, like 5 times. Now here is something that you'll never see written on a productivity blog. Indian students constantly teach each other. Not for views, not for clout, not for money, just as a natural habit. When we study, it's very normal to have a cousin sitting nearby, a younger sibling asking questions, or a friend calling you on the phone to say, hey, can you explain this part to me? And here is the magic. When you teach, you reinforce. There's an old Sanskrit phrase which goes, Vidya dhanam sarva dhanam pradhanam, which means the wealth of knowledge is greatest of all wealth. And gifting that knowledge is the noblest of all acts. We grow up hearing that. So when we explain concepts to others, we're not just doing a favor, we're actually practicing a tradition. And it forces your brain to clarify, simplify, and structure what you know. So while it might look like we're helping someone else, we're actually just studying on our own. We're actually solidifying our own knowledge. And this isn't accidental, by the way. There's a very cultural value that is placed on sharing knowledge. We grow up hearing this one line over and over again. Gyan bantne se बढ़ता है, which means knowledge grows when it's shared. We don't say that to sound poetic. We say because it's actually very true. Now you might think that Indian students are just naturally smart, but here's what you don't see behind the scenes. We fail all the time. What we're taught early on though is not to fear the failure, but to stay in the fight. The system is tough, exams are brutal, competition is relentless, but the idea is to try again and try better. No drama, no spiral, just reset and repeat. And that is where the resilience actually comes from. It's not talent, it's tolerance. We're raised to tolerate the discomfort of not getting it yet and to still keep going. So if you're somebody who studies something once and feels frustrated because it didn't stick, you're not behind, you're just not used to the Indian way. Now I get asked this all the time. How do Indian students stay so focused? And I'll tell you straight away. It's not because we're superhuman. It's actually because we have rules. You sit at the table, you keep the phone in another room, you don't move until the job is done. Simple, brutal, and effective. Our parents didn't raise us on systems and hacks, they raised us on consistency and discomfort. And over time, that builds mental stamina. So when you're watching an Indian kid quietly solve math problems for 3 hours straight, that is not his natural ability. That's actually cultural conditioning. But you can build that too, but it only starts by treating studying like training and not scrolling. So what is the Indian secret to studying effectively? Well, it's not a culture, it's actually a mindset, a system that is passed down quietly generation to generation. It's the seriousness that we bring, the repetition that we embrace, the teaching that we do, the failures that we survive, and the distractions that we refuse to feed. I know what the crazy part is. None of this requires you to be Indian. You don't need to live in Delhi or have a strict dad to study like an Indian. You just need to study with the same energy, with devotion, repetition, and respect for the process. That is the real Indian secret. And if you start using it, then don't be surprised when you become the smartest person in the room. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.